Okay, so here we are. Oh, sorry. It's 13 seconds in and I'm just rearranging paper. Hello. It is early in the morning on Monday, the 29th of July. Oh my gosh, it's the end of another month. We are heading into the 8th month of the year. This year has just been flying by for me. And that's probably a good thing considering all of the not so great news and financial stuff that's happened. But some years are like that, you know? Um, what I feel overwhelmed with right now is the amount of email that's coming into my inbox that is for the presidential elections. Um, with so many candidates, I'm not really sure how they got my email address. Like, it must be from the voter registration, which makes me sad that they ask for your phone number on the I do mail-in ballot, and they ask for your phone number in case there's a problem with your ballot, like with the signature verification, and they must be giving out both phone number and email address, because I don't give out. I have never, and I've had my nefarious email account for uh, more than 10 years. Um, so probably had it closer to 15. And I have never given it out specifically to a candidate or the Democratic Party. But I must get 20 to 25 emails a day from the various political candidates, and they're all, they're designed to produce anxiety, to they're the email equivalent of clickbait. They're all incendiary. Oh my God, Mitch McConnell this and Donald Trump that. And I'm no fan of Donald Trump, and that's all I'm ever going to say about politics. I am a Democrat. I am very far to the left, probably would be considered a socialist, but I don't want 25 emails in my inbox from the various candidates begging me for money and telling me what a horrible things are going on in Washington and in my state. I am well aware, and I don't need this purposefully orchestrated panic attack in my email, um, you know, all day long, every day. It just is annoying, and I delete all of it almost. Occasionally I'll click on one and I'll be like, yep, that's exactly what I thought it was going to be, and out I go again, and I delete them all. Now, I don't necessarily want to block them because maybe there's going to be something in there at some point that I want to see, but why so many? Why do so many candidates and their their machinery of the how they're going about this think that any one person would want up to 5 emails a day from you? If I haven't given you money already, I'm probably not going to. If I have never clicked on your email, I'm not going to. I just don't get why they think that's an okay thing to do. Like, when did that become okay for politicians to spam everybody in the United States with their cause? I got rid of my cell phone, I want to say about a year ago. But I remember the last election, I must have got at least 2 phone calls a week from quote unquote Donald Trump. And it was him yelling at me through my, a recording. It wasn't actually Donald Trump, of him yelling at me about how he needs money, and he's spewing the stuff that he does. And that was pretty stress inducing. So I just stopped answering phone calls from any New York numbers And then they started making them from Arizona. I just don't understand why politicians think that's okay. I wouldn't accept that kind of email or phone calls from my electric company, my gas company. Like, I can't think of from any store that I shop at. Like, I would unsubscribe and I would never shop there. So I just don't understand, one, why that's necessary. Like, I don't know what's going on in the world. I sort of live under a rock, but even I have a general idea of how things are going. Okay, sorry. I probably spent like 4 or 5 minutes telling you about how I don't like my email anymore. Well, I never really did like email because it's sort of become like your mail. Most of it's bills and junk. So, I said several videos ago, probably a dozen or so videos ago, that I would show what I was doing with these. These are the Harry Potter book pages that I folded in half and glued together to make cards out of. Now, these are the full size with the border still on it. A lot of times with book pages, I cut off the border and you get this size. When I made these, I left them like this, and then I tore off the edges for them. Let me make sure I'm on screen since I can never tell anymore. Yeah, okay. Because I like the effect. Now, I didn't tear off this side because I did want one side to be straight. For if I put it in a journal, it could be clipped onto the edge without like being all weird and jaggedy. In retrospect, I probably should have just torn a thin strip off that side as well. But I don't, it's okay. It didn't occur to me that that might look weird to some people. Because somebody asked me when they saw it, they're like, how come you didn't rip that edge? Because I thought I wanted a straight edge, that's why. So this is what I have done with some of these half-size pages. I did make some, and these are glued too. So this is with the edges totally cut off. And I will make probably some little, something similar to this, with an image or some collaging or whatever it is I'm going to do. I haven't decided yet, but I have quite a stack of these, because I have quite a lot of Harry Potter book pages. These are not, this is coffee dyed. This is not. They don't necessarily have to be coffee dyed because in the case of this, I'm backing them with various kinds of paper, and then I'm doing the front. On these, I whitewashed them all. I added a little fabric. I added some flowers from a book that I got from one of Natasha's sales and a word, and I put a little tab on them. So you may not even be able to see the front of this when I'm done, so nobody, in fact, may know that it's a Harry Potter book page. But that's what I've been working on. So if you have books like this, and this is a way to go. I like the coffee dyed ones just because then I maybe won't have to add so much effects if I just want something with like book page words behind it as a background, that sort of thing. But this is like a good background to start. I know a lot of people are into using the Project Life cards, but here we go with a couple different sizes, and if you used like mass market, I know I'm pushing that mass market paperback pages because I'm about to put some in my store. Not like, so you get the big tag like I showed you out of my, here, let me grab one. I'm in the middle of a collage, so I have to be careful what I do with this. Okay. So I've got, I made these. This is a mass market page, not cut down in any way. It's 3 of them put together. And I've showed these before. And this is a pretty simplistic one, but this makes a very big, a nice big, I think I've said the measurements before, but for the life of me, I can never remember. It is a little over 4 inches by a little under 7 inches. So it's a nice size, you know, depending on the size journal you're making. You could certainly cut the edges off. It'd be a little bit smaller, and you wouldn't have like this stuff at the top. On these, I covered the words. This is the sewing tissue paper, the actual pattern part, like this. But you could put anything on there. You could use a coffee filter, the coffee dyed filters that I showed you before, where it's a little harder to tear, but you get the same effect and even a little more depth of color and some markings as well. If you don't want to use the sewing tissue paper because you don't have big pieces that just have the blank, what you have has a lot of markings on it, and you don't necessarily want to make a coffee themed tag. Coffee filters can be a way to go. They take the distress inks pretty well. They take coffee dyeing real well. They would probably dye really well with Kool-Aid. I have never tried Kool-Aid on them, but I don't imagine it's any different than when I dye them with Rit dye. They take the color very, very well. So that's his option. The darker you dye it, though, the less likely you are to see the words. If you want the words to show through, you would need a light color pink. The coffee dyed ones will show through. And I will at some point test all the different ones on one of these with you just to see what you can see through and what you can't. And you may not care about the words. I backed this. So this is 3 mass market pages plus a backer page and then whatever's on top. And so it's pretty nice and thick, but not like super chunky. And it's still got some flexibility to it. So you're not signing up for a super hard like chipboard quality piece where it's super inflexible and is going to add a lot of bulk to your journal. It gives you a nice space to work on. You could cut it lower. You could cut this into 2. You know, cut it down the middle and get 2 super long tags, or cut it down the middle and cut it shorter, and you would have 2 nice size smaller tags. It just affords a lot of opportunity and would be fun. And if you have a sewing machine, even easier, because you just have to tack it in the middle with a little bit of glue, and then you sew around the edges. You don't have to spend the time whole gluing the pages down. So depending on what you have, that's definitely fun. So these for me kind of mimic Project Life cards, but index cards can serve the same function. If you don't have Project Life cards and you see everybody using them and you feel like, gosh, I've got to have that, I feel you on that, because I do that sort of stuff all the time with all kinds of things. You don't gotta have it. I understand the want, I really do, but there are lots of substitutes. Depending on size of book page, you can get something like this. You could use index cards. You don't even have to dye them. I just like them dyed. It's fun to me. But I have used them as collage backgrounds and art journal card size, and I paint over them or whatever I do to them. So those are relatively inexpensive. They may even be things you have around the house if you're looking at book pages. You know, if you've got some book pages, you got a mass market paperback that you've read and you're probably never going to read it again, and it doesn't have any resale value, or it's already falling apart and you don't necessarily want to donate it to your library or take it down to your local, you know, used bookstore and trade it in. That's a way to go too. So, you know, just some ideas. I'm going to continue to push book pages because eventually I want to sell them to people, but also because I think they are fun to use. And this isn't the only thing I've ever done with them. This is just the only thing I have to show you right now. I give away a lot of what I make, or at least I have in the past. This is what I worked on, and I have a bunch more photographs. Well, not photographs, but images from the book. These are, let me see. Yeah, these are the other pile I have. I have to sort through them and see which ones. But I'm going to make another stack like this. But I have some that are oriented this way. So landscape, portrait. I could do this. Somebody was doing that to, I think, Natasha. No, Brooke. It was Brooke at Brooke's live sale on Saturday. She had a book that was, I think, cats, and she was like, I like that it's landscape, and they were like being funny about landscape and portrait. So I have some that are oriented this way, and I don't know that I want to put them on, like this is the perfect size, obviously. I was going to put them on here, but these are, you know, a little too small. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that size, but I'll show that in a minute. So I have this other stack. I have to go through because, you know, some of the images aren't of a quality that will lend themselves to an art card. It's just not interesting enough, in my opinion. But so I have to sort through those. But I have that stack that's probably equivalent to this stack. And I won't show everyone, but I made, you know, this many. I haven't counted them. I think it's around 30. I'm not sure. But so what I did was I took the book page, I tore around the edges after I had glued it in half while the glue was still wet, because I wanted the edges to be a little bit more jaggedy. If you tear when it's dry, you get a little bit of a smoother edge, but you have to be careful if you're tearing while the core, like it was dry on the top, but the core was still a little wet, because it has a tendency to try and tear in this way more. So just be careful if you're doing that it rips exactly the way you want it to. So I was just ripping a little small amounts, but I like the effect I got. I did back all of these. So this is the green masking, painter's masking paper. This is wrinkly because it's leftover Amazon packaging. You know, sometimes you get those big scrunchy sheets of brown paper. So I ironed that, and obviously didn't come all the way unwrinkly, but I like the effect, and it wouldn't affect you journaling on this at all. So this is leftover Amazon packaging, brown paper. Let's see, so those are all brown paper. Let's see what we got. I did just some coffee dyed paper. So I have two kinds of the painter's masking paper. This is the lighter green. This is the darker green. They had a rust colored while I was there that I didn't get a roll of, and I'm probably going to go back and get a roll of. So a little bit of grid paper. So those are the four kinds that I used. The brown paper, the grid paper, and the two colors of the green paper. And if I had had it close to me when I was making these, I probably also would have used some colored paper. I just didn't have any within arm's reach. I was really kind of focused on what I was doing, and I used what was close at hand. And then I bought at an online auction from one of you lovely ladies. Give me just a second here, because when you go to reach for something, it's never where you want it to be. These. I don't remember who from now. I'm sure I said in a different video when I originally showed these. But so I had these strips of fabric that I bought from somebody's sale, you know, and they're all different kinds. But I used those in this project. The book pages that I cut out all the images from Natasha's sale, and then just things I had. So, like this one says courage. And these are just meant to go in journals, in tuck spots. You could pin it to the page. You could use it as a tip-in. This one is Discover, and I put some little tags on there, and I used a tiny attacher. But these could easily be removed if you don't like them. Like, I just was playing around with it. In retrospect, I probably should have put them all at the top, but I kind of like the ones on the sides as well. So, this one says Delight. And so you've got the fabric on all of them. They all have fabric. It's in different locations. I didn't make them all exactly the same. They all have a little tab. They all have a little word. And, of course, a picture of a flower or a flowering tree or something like that. That's Believe. And this one is Hopeful. I love this pink fabric with the flowers on it. It's fun. We got Friendship. Create. And so I'll just flip through these. I don't think you need to know, like, every single thing. Got Dreams with the... And I love these flowers. I have no idea what they are. It says embrace imperfections. I just like the color of these flowers. It really is striking to me. So, got some purple ones. And this one says living. I managed to get embrace imperfection on a couple of them. I like that message because none of us is perfect, no matter how hard we try to be. But, that's... And I had fun making these. It was super messy. Oh my god, so much glue all over my hands. And, you know, you go wash your hands and you come back and there'll still be, you'll, like, do this and there'll still be, like, a little piece of something right there. Ugh. Maddening, but fun. And I think that describes pretty much all arts and crafts. So that's what I made. These are from before I started the videos, but, you know, things happened in the intervening time, and I kept meaning to finish this set. Some of them are going to go in some botanical journals that I have, that I've been low-key working on, and some of these will probably wind up as sets on Etsy. Yes, that's the thing. Once I'm finished, you know, and I get to look at how many there are, because I'm probably not going to need all of these for the journals. It's just fun to make things in bulk, because then you have a stash of things. But it will be too much just to have all of them, because there's all of these, and in this stack there's probably, I'm gonna sneeze, oh gosh, I'm sorry. Not a delicate, dainty sneezer. There may be 4, you know, between 3 and 5 that aren't visually interesting enough to use, but I have all of these also to make into, and there's another stack of the ones oriented the other way, which I have to figure out if I want to go ahead and put them on the same size card and, you know, be damned that the words are the wrong way, or if I want to find, or just use like maybe a mass market page. Oh yeah, that would probably work, and just cut it down a little bit, because folding it in half it won't be, but I could glue 2 pages together and do it that way, and you get a nice little word border. On this, probably would do the same tearing thing. Yeah, so that's definitely an option. So maybe I've solved my own problem while talking to you guys. Well, talking to myself while pretending I'm talking to you guys. How's that? So I do have, you know, these are ready to go. They need to be inked and finished backing them. I've only got a couple that are backed at the minute before shenanigans happened and life intervened. So these need to be backed. I back them first before I make the fronts, because I don't want to risk damaging the fronts with glue after the fact. So I always back them first, and I usually also often ink them. I'll ink spots that get covered if I need to, but I try to minimize anything that will damage the finished front. So that's my process there. But I have these to go with these images here. I'm not sure if it's quite enough. I need to count it out, but that's what's going on right there. And those are the finished ones. And that's one of the things I've been working on as a project, and that's fun. And I know a lot of us have these kind of botanical books. It was just like a catalog of, hey, look at these flowers. It might have been like wildflowers in North America, or hey, look at these gardening, like typical gardening plants. But it was just like a catalog of a page with a picture and a description, and they were double-sided, so that was a little bit of a bummer because I had to choose one side or the other. But it was fun to cut them out. You know, that's an evening spent watching whatever I was watching at the time and cutting things out. And I didn't even have to fussy cut. I just had to rectangular cut. So even better, right? Because so many of us love fussy cutting. I don't mind fussy cutting. I really don't. But I don't have a good pair of fussy cut scissors. I just have my big scissors. I was using a pair of manicure scissors, but they have disappeared. I suspect my son, if I'm perfectly honest. They're probably somewhere in his room, and he lost them and didn't tell me. Because that's how kids are sometimes. I need to rip off the top on this one. I should probably just go ahead and do that, because these all have... No, they don't. Oh, they don't. They have one side. So these have one side raw as well. So you have the smaller size, and I'm not 100% what I'm going to do with it. Because it's half. Let me see here. It might be half of. Yeah, it's half of the where I took the edges off the page and folded it in half, and then I tore it down the middle. Well, I would have cut the edges off. I would have torn them off. But it's this size page finished. I just tore it in half. So I got to figure out what to do with that, because it's a fun little size. It'd make, you know, for those little corner tucks and stuff, it'd make a fun little layering, you know, if you had a bigger tag and then something smaller. It makes a cute little taggy thing. I will back them, maybe just with some tissue paper and a light coat of whitewashing, instead of, or in addition to, I don't know. But that's another size that I have to work with. Oopsie, there it goes. Okay, so that is all I have for this video. I will be doing another couple of videos after this. I have a couple other things to show. But that gives you an idea of what I've done with some of my book pages. So you can do this. And I could make a tags out of this too. It's not that much bigger. And I could cut off some of the bottom, and it would be a little bit shorter. So this could be a tag as well. Or it could be a tag this way, cut in half. Like, there are options. Book pages are so fun to work with. You can get such a variety of things. You can get a big tag, and if you have a slightly, they make even, or they don't make, but they have paperback that are slightly longer than this, and I have some pages from a couple of those as well. So I may show eventually something with that. However, it would be too long to put in the journal I'm working on, because this size is almost too long. It fits nicely in it. But if it was even an inch longer, I don't think it would fit. It might be like right at the top, but then you couldn't angle it left or right if you wanted to look jaunty. So I'm going to call this video, because I think we're probably well over what I want. Yeah, we're almost at 30 minutes. So if you watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. I do truly appreciate it. Whatever time of the day or night you are watching this, I hope that you are having a great insert time of day here. I hope that whatever you are doing in your life, whether it's going to work, or it's being at home, or you're playing with your kids, or you're caring for somebody in your family, whatever it is you're doing, I hope that on some level it brings you joy and creates happiness in your life. Go out while you're out and about today, if you are out and about today, and smile at a stranger. You never know what somebody else's story is, and you might be making their day. So until next time, happy crafting. Bye.